How you doing, Kurt? Are you live?
Oh, now I'm live. I had the mute button flipped.
Is Charlie tucked in?
He's tucked in. He's out cold.
He's up cold.
8
That's
p.m.
probably a good
bedtime,
thing.
and he was out by 8:05.
Well, are you about ready, or do you want to
Yep.
need any more time? Well, let's go ahead and I'll give a brief introduction, and then Kurt, you can take it away. Well, welcome everybody to tonight's session of just taking a look at some of the modifications and the revisions to the Manifest Investing website. In a nutshell, there's a lot that you can't see because it's the engine behind the entire site. Some of the stuff that Kurt has been diligently working on involve content management and a few other things, which you kind of see like playing in the background a little bit like background music. But tonight he will be spending a fair amount of time going over things like enhancements to the stock search screening process, and just kind of walking through the entire site. You can ask questions all through the night, but I'll monitor them in the question box, and if you get a really hot one, we can actually interrupt the flow. But he's kind of just hoping to give a guided tour or a walkthrough of the site, spending a little bit more time on some of the portfolio design and management features. And I'll just go ahead and turn it over to our technology guru, Kurt. Take it away. I'm going to go ahead and start a recording and change the screen to you, Kurt. Are you ready for the screen to be yours? Kurt? Did we lose Kurt?
There we go. Sorry about that.
Okay. I can see your screen now. So you should have control.
Okay, is it showing the screen or just the browser?
I see the home page. I can see your whole laptop, but I can see it just fine.
Let's see. I'm not used to this. How do I get it just to show my screen?
I wouldn't worry about it. I can see it okay, and looks like it's okay on the audience view too.
There we go.
You can go to full screen under view if you want.
I think I've just set it to the browser, right?
Yep, looks good.
All right, great. Sorry, I'm not usually the presenter. I usually get to hide in the background and just do things without having to talk about it very often. But we thought we'd spend some time going over the beta site and try and solicit one last round of feedback, or just go over the changes and see if people haven't noticed a few things. Maybe we can get some feedback on features that are hidden or not as well known. So I was planning on just stepping through the website. I know Mark loves to use slides and PowerPoints, but since we're talking about the website, I'm just going to step through each section, starting pretty much as they go down the list. And like Mark said, if you have questions, feel free to raise your hand or put a question box in. Let's see, Kurt, can we magnify? Sure, hold on.
Now see, he's well trained for the back room, so he's monitoring the questions also. So he's going to try to magnify a little bit so you can see a little bit better.
All right.
Thanks,
hopefully
Faith.
that's a little bit better. And we're also saying people aren't getting my audio, so. All right, well, let me know if it gets any better. So I thought I'd just start with the home page. Actually, I wanted to start with one quick thing. If you take a look at the old site versus the new site, it's obvious that we've increased the size of the page. And we did that mainly based on following larger websites that spend more money than we do on tracking users and preferences. So I simply go to CNN, and occasionally I notice that the size of their page layout increases, and I figure if they're willing to do it, we should follow. We also do track user browser size, and as the preferences change and people get bigger screen sizes, we'll shift and gradually increase our page size to match the majority of our users. Right now, I think we have about 7% of our users that are still using a page size that will cut off some of the sidebar. but we have to sort of trade off and go with the majority of users who have a far larger page size or screen size and can support more text on the page. So that allows us to add, go ahead.
Kurt, we are getting a little bit of noise on your microphone. You might try putting it another half an inch or an inch away from your mouth.
Sorry about that. Is that any better?
That is better, I think.
Okay. So going back to the home page, we've added a few features just on when you're signed in. If you have dashboards, you can quickly find one of your dashboards from the home page. As you add a stock search and save it, those will show up. I'll show that in a minute. If we have upcoming events in the events database, we're showing those on the sidebar. As we finalize the layout and feature set of the site, this page will probably change and add more content, perhaps another column, and split up the content to show more of your personalized data. So that's it for that for now. There's not a whole lot of change to our articles other than when you click into an article, we make the main area size for the article is larger. If you were to take a look at the old size of an article, the width of the article, the content area for the article is bigger than the larger layout size that we had for prior articles. So we have more text on the page. It'll allow us to use larger images, better tables, and so forth. On the issues section, I'm still working on the best way to present it, but we're breaking them out by year now, so you can go chronologically and find issues by year. Step into each issue, grab the PDF if you want, or go into each article. There's not a whole lot of changes to that other than being able to break it up chronologically instead of having 6 years of issues on one page.
We're still getting some reports of a popping microphone, Kurt, so you might want to even move it up or, as Faith says, toward your nose.
Yeah, I'm not sure. Up against my nose, and we were getting feedback from it, so I'm not sure
just
exactly where it should go.
Maybe just a little farther away. It's just for a little bit of a puff, and that Joan says she thinks she must be ruffling papers.
No, I'm just trying to move the headset. Every time I touch it, it makes noise. All right. Okay, I'm not sure if that's going to be any better or not, but I'll try and keep going.
Sounds better. Just keep pressing on.
All right. So the issues and articles we've covered. I'll move on to our stocks, get into some of the bigger changes. On the stocks page, previously we used to list, we had all of your categories for available. And we've switched that to show basically our sweet spot screen, which is what I use on the weekly update to find companies that might be of interest. So we're looking at high quality companies that are in the sweet spot with a good financial strength, and those are the ones we're displaying. We typically have 40 to about 100 on this page. You can then drop down and search by sector. And industry. If you search by industry, you'll get the industry averages at the bottom automatically. The view switches somewhat. And you'll also see that you get the net margin and a few, so that columns change based on your industry. You can quickly, we can take a look at the Microsoft, for example. You can quickly find a company. The only change that you'll note on these pages is that we also use top in industry and top in sector for comparisons, just to see some quick comparisons within the industry or the sector that you might have brought up. We're using the manifest rank and simply sorting and grabbing the first 5 based on manifest rank. If you're not familiar with manifest rank, we can cover that briefly, but Mark might have to chime in on exactly how we're calculating that and getting the values.
The secret formula, huh?
That's right, Mark
Uh,
Secret
Kurt,
sauce.
Danny is asking what's the default setting when you go to the stock page?
The default setting on the stocks page, the sweet spot screen,
Just when I guess he's asking when you go to it, what will it look like as a regular default setting?
that's it right there.
That's it. Okay.
Yep.
So an entire database sorted by manifest rank.
This isn't manifest rank, it's just the sweet spot screen that I've used for, we could probably switch it to
Oh,
manifest
okay.
rank.
Okay. No, I think this is okay.
We're not using the entire database because it takes a while to load, so the first people who hit it before it caches would be obnoxious. But this is just a slimmed down version that should load quickly, and then you can go from there.
Gotcha.
If you are interested
Danny
in
says thank you.
getting, for some of our power users, there are new options that we haven't disclosed yet. But if you wanted to get all of the companies in the database quickly, we now offer XML views of many of the pages. So if you're looking to export the entire database, you don't have to screen scrape every page on the site. If you're not a programmer and don't want to code, then that really won't be of interest to you, but you can also do it on a single company. I think that's just about
app development.
Yep.
Apps.
So stepping into funds, there really have not been many changes to the fund layout, or basically the view is exactly the same. We list all of the funds that are available on Manifest Investing, and you can step into any fund and take a look at the details and the holdings that we cover. The search by name is available for all of these. You can use a portion of a name or an entire name, and you should get a selection. If there's only one, you'll get that company. If there's more than one, you should get a list. We'll move on to stock search. If I'm going too quickly on any of these, or you have a question, feel free to chime in. If I don't see the question, I'm sure Mark will get it. So we'll move on to one of the...
I'll pause you for a compliment. Chris Johnson says he loves the XML access. Thank you.
Great. We can also, we've had some requests for other formats. I was going to mention it when we get to dashboards because that's probably where it would make the most sense for people, but we'll probably have a export to CVS or save a CSV file, excuse me, comma separated value view of your dashboard. Dashboards are also already available in XML, but that might not be as easy for someone who's only perhaps familiar with Excel or another spreadsheet program. Back on course here, we can talk about stock search. The holdings are not up. I'm sorry, Dan, I see your question. Dan asks, are the fund holdings actually updated daily? I don't think I updated the holdings today. Let me check. I updated prices today. I think Dan just caught an error. Hold on while I write something down. We did the price update today, and I think it's pulling the date of the price update and putting it in the holdings updated field, so I'll correct that. Thanks, Dan.
And while you're doing that, Kurt, I'll actually point out that Kurt has begun experimenting with a much higher frequency of holdings and shares updates for mutual funds. I don't know when we'll have it, but we're pretty hopeful that we're going to be able to do something much more fresh on all of the fund coverage.
It's been a challenge. There are very few readily available sources for holding data that are easy to import into an application like this.
Don Lana is asking if he can actually add a stock or a fund, and I guess I'll just help you out, Kurt, and say no. You still need to request them. We monitor for uncovered tickers, but we'll need to request coverage of an individual stock or a fund, and but some of the changes that Kurt is making is actually really enabling a much better process on all of that. So tell us what you need. Go ahead, Kurt.
All right, we can move on to stock search here. The first field that you see here is a saved search name. And basically on any stock search, if you add a name, it will save it and you can access it later. So we'll just call this a test search. We'll move on down. Use sweet spot as a new feature. Basically, because you can save a search and come back to it later, it makes sense that if you want to use the sweet spot in your search, you'd always want to use the sweet spot, whatever it is on that day. So that's what that does. When you flip it, you'll see that the projected return automatically defaults to today's sweet spot. We can add perhaps one more field. We'll look for high quality companies, and we'll just go down and click search for an example. Now these are the results that we got based on the sweet spot search or our test search. You'll notice that we have the criteria listed that you searched with, so it's easy to see when perhaps if you come back later and you use the drop down and grab a search, you'll see that you'll remember the criteria you used instead of having to go and revise the search and see what you had. I'm going to add one more new search. And then we'll go down and use another new option here. We're going to use the manifest, well, use the sweet spot and the manifest rank. Manifest rank goes from a 0 to 100 scale. It's basically using a combination of par and quality and scoring those and then ranking the entire database. So if we search on that, we'll get the highest combination, quality, and par in the database that are currently in the sweet spot. We have two examples now, and just to answer a question, can you easily get back to these saved searches later? I'll go back to the home page, and now since we've saved two searches, when you come to your home page, you'll see your saved searches. And you can come back and grab them whenever you want.
And just to make a point, very often I'll come into this and just search on manifest rank above 99.5. So you're literally just looking at the very top, literally 10 or so companies in the entire database.
You'll typically find that using manifest rank, you don't really have to use the sweet spot because companies that have a par that would be highlighted yellow, which is above the sweet spot, get knocked. So the higher above the sweet spot it is, the more negative that is on the score, and it'll drop it out and it won't show up.
Yeah, we penalize. Susan Macholika would like to know, will the saved searches be updated automatically? Might want to clarify that, Kurt.
Yep. I suppose it would mean, would it be updated that your saved search is just the search criteria. We don't really offer a way right now to save your search, say, to a dashboard, which would preserve the companies that were in that result, the results page, for access at a later date. I'm considering it. It's probably not too difficult to do. The only question I have in my head is the value of that, and will it lead to, I guess you'd call it dashboard bloat, where someone saves it every day and quickly gets 20 or 30 or 40 or 50 dashboards. I'm not sure that I see the value in doing that, but we'll consider it. There is a limit that we've always had on the number of dashboards. Right now on the beta site it's 25. I believe on the live site it's right around that, perhaps upwards to 50, but it's not hundreds. Mainly the reason being that when you come to this My Dashboards page, the averages and other features that are on this are calculated when you hit the page, and if you had hundreds of them, those averages would take a while. We'd have to redesign how we do that and perhaps save the averages to the dashboard.
Yeah, Kurt, I think if I had to guess, and Susan can correct me if I'm wrong, I think she means saving the criteria. So if you have a favorite search criteria. And then Faith wonders if you could demonstrate removing a saved search from the... Can you actually remove
I can't demonstrate removing a saved search yet because we don't have it available. But
so, okay.
It will live on this page. If you find your user And you can click on your username right up at the top here, although it's not underlined, it's clickable. You'll be able to come here and see the saved searches that you have and remove ones that you no longer want under the saved search. You can come back and revise any one that you've done. So if I were to go to, say, the other search and click revise, you can come here and repurpose it, change the name, and change the values. And it will become new search instead of the prior name. So for now, that's the one way we'll have it. By launch, we'll have a method that you can go in and actually delete them, but I simply haven't built the view of that yet. I haven't shown it yet, but obviously these are links on your results, and you can resort the search results
by clicking on any column header.
By clicking on any column header, right. I think that's it for stock search. I don't have very many dashboards for examples, but we'll step into one. I think other than adding my par box, I don't think there's any new features on the dashboard home, other than perhaps using a drop-down instead of a long list of dashboards. We step into a dashboard and I scroll down. One of the new features are sector and size diversification pie charts, which we've often had those requested, so we have those there now. Again, like other sections of the site and like the current site, you can sort. We've had quite a few requests for adding more or different columns to the dashboard, and while we haven't enabled that yet, I would imagine after release, it's high on the list for after release, is providing perhaps either a tabbed version of this where you could click on a new tab or a separate tab and see different columns. So it's been a request to allow different columns or a different default view, and we'll either go with allowing you to select the columns that appear or having a different view that shows other data items that we have. So for now, it's not going to be something that we'll do for the first release, but it's on the list for subsequent releases. The delete button or link is now right on the dashboard. We used to have to step in to the dashboard and then to the edit page to delete it. One of my top support requests, and as a programmer who also does his own support requests, you try and fix things like that. So anytime you get too many support requests for the same item, it's probably something you need to change.
That's called a group nudge. Art wants to know if the sector totals now add up to 100%.
Probably not, Art. I have it on my list of bugs to fix, but I know there's some issues here with what gets added in at times.
How much are they off by?
It depends. I don't remember exactly what it was in relation to, but I did track it down and I wrote it down. Typically they add up.
All right, we'll get that figured out, Art.
There's some changes to the edit page. We've tried to put it all on one page instead of having to step through 2 pages. There's various methods now for adding data. Your public and publish flags are still there, although those are handled differently. We'll step into that in a minute. You can add holdings simply by clicking a link. Let's find a company that I know. Give me a ticker mark.
How about SYK?
So you can simply add one like that and click a remove link to remove another. You can also, we'll step into these features in a second, but you could add bulk holdings. Give me like 3. I'm on the spot here. I don't remember.
GE, not a problem.
Right.
GE, J&J, and AFL.
Benchmark allocation, we can also use that since we're doing a few new holdings. Benchmark allocation, if you provide a value, it will take tickers that have not add a shares value added to them and add enough shares to get to that value. So if we hit submit, we should see GE, Johnson & Johnson, and Aflac have $1,000 in each one. So it's probably
Wow.
not valuable for this dashboard in particular, but if we wanted to create a new dashboard,
I'll use that all the time, Kurt.
and we wanted to do a watch list, you can quickly add a number of companies on any given day, and you'll have $100 of each company. So instead of having to do it in Excel, which Mark used to do, I believe, to calculate the shares required for that value, you can simply put in a benchmark value. You probably didn't even notice that I did that, did you, Mark?
I did notice, but I got to tell you, you don't know how much time you would have saved me with this 4 years ago. Because every groundhog portfolio was put together this way, guys.
So that was some feedback that we received during the beta, that on one of those evenings when I thought, you know, maybe I can do that. And you pour yourself a scotch around 7 o'clock and keep tinkering until you get it right. It actually wasn't too much work. It's just a matter of getting those features in there if they make sense.
Okay, just a couple of questions. Danny Matthews would like to know, would it be helpful to designate the benchmark as $1? I'm not sure.
I think here basically to say that it should be $1 amount.
Oh, down there. Okay, yeah, you could probably put in a legend type deal
right
there.
It's described over here, but yeah, we can do that, so it makes sense.
Now, if you add another benchmark allocation to that, what happens? If you put
you'll see that up here you have shares. So when you're adding a benchmark allocation, you're adding a new company, it would add whatever you provide here.
How about a fund like VTSMX?
VT what?
VTSMX, which would be the total stock market index.
So now, because VTSMX is new and didn't have a share value, it'll get, oh boy.
Oh, I shouldn't have done that. I shouldn't have done that to you. Okay. How about?
Hold on, let me see if it works or if that's what's breaking it.
Okay.
Yeah. Well, there's another bug.
Okay, I ran into that the other night and had to start over, and I thought it was because of the fun thing, but now you got another note for yourself. All right, Jim Gleason wants to also chime in with a question. Is it possible to create dashboards that contain stocks or funds not tracked by manifest, but the user could supply shares and unit price data? Now that's something that a few of you have asked for, so that the dashboard total value is correct. That is something we have kicked around. Kurt, do you want to comment to that? Basically, unserved tickers.
Right. Give me a ticker that's not served right now. I would have a hard time coming up with one.
I would too. Hold on. Where's my briefcase?
IDX.
It's the list that I'm about ready to go to work on. Somebody gave you one? Oh, somebody just gave us HGSI also.
So now you'll notice that we do go out and pull a name, company name, and a price. We could use that to create a value if you had shares. The only issue is that I believe, let me see what happens if I add a share value. I think it'll take it. I don't think we display it. Right, so basically I think I have enough data to do that. I just have to make sure that I don't break any of the calculations based on that. So we've been considering it. It hasn't been at the top of the priority list, and I've been sort of saving it for the after release improvements. So this
So
will be a continuous process. After we switch the website, obviously we'll keep working on it and keep adding to the list of features.
yeah, I can see where people may want to do that. So, and that'll also bridge to some of the other stuff that we probably won't talk about tonight. But
all right, well, let me get back to the dashboard home. Step into one that has a few more companies in it. And a new feature that we have on, oh, hold on, I have to go turn off my heater. We've had a skunk that's living by the side of my house where the air intake is for the heater. And
oh
I
no,
got to turn off the air.
not a problem. We have a family of raccoons living under our deck that I think I'm going to have to take some action on also. Anybody else have any comments or questions while Kurt takes care of the skunk? Let me go ahead and check to see if anybody has a hand in the air because I've been negligent there.
All right, I'll try and survive. Hopefully I haven't killed my mic. I don't have it at the perfect area, but
unfortunately
my
go back to where you were at. Yeah.
Yeah, my office wall is right next to